Pandit Pawan Parmadya Premadatta Padmavati Kumar Sri Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Prema Purushottama Sachinandan Sri Gauranga Mahaprabhu ki jai. Anitahi Gaura Siddhanatha Premanande Hari Hari Om. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaitadale Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namah. Good morning, welcome to everyone. Thank you for taking time from your busy schedule to spend some time contemplating the nature of mantra. Some impartial observer may see, oh, why these religious fanatics jumping up and down and singing? But really, this process of awakening our God consciousness through the repetition of the holy names, the Mahamantra, is the most important and profound science that is known to man. Because this is the purpose of our existence. We are spiritual beings. There are two things. The Vibhu Chaitana, that means the unlimited conscious being, and the Anu Chaitana, the minute atomic conscious being. So that's us. We are minute atomic conscious beings. And it is the dharma or the swabhav, that is the nature of the spiritual soul, to be in complete subordination, that the minute spirit is complete subordination to the unlimited spirit. And so that state of subordination of the minute spirit to the supreme spirit is called bhakti, love. Bhakti yoga. We want to speak today about yoga. In the sutras of Patanjali, it is said, the definition of yoga, yogas chitta vritti nirodha. Yoga means the restraint of all mental fluctuations, chitta vrittis. In Bhagavad Gita, the same thing has been spoken by Sri Krishna, but from the other side. Patanjali has given via negativa, the negative way. Yoga is the restraint of mental modifications. Whereas Sri Krishna said that yoga is samatvam yoga uchate. Yoga means an equilibrium of consciousness. Free from modulations, free from disturbance. In the Amarakosh Sanskrit dictionary, the definition of yoga has been given. Yogaha samnahana upai dhyan sangati yuktishu. It means, the word yoga means joining or union. Yoga the English cognate of the word yoga is yoke. The yoke, that which connects the horse to the chariot, or the bull to the plow. There's a yoke. So that which links two things is called a yoke, and that has come from the ancient Sanskrit yoga. So, samnahana, that which links two things together is called yoga. So that by which the minute conscious soul is connected with the Supreme Soul through love, that is called Bhakti Yoga. Yoga also means upai. Upai means a method. It is the goal and also the method to attain the goal. Dhyan. Yoga means dhyan, meditation. Sangati. Sangati means the union. And yukti. Yukti means that which is appropriate. So all of these are the main meanings in the ancient Sanskrit dictionary, Amarakosh. So let us begin the subject. Mantra, the science of sound and consciousness. In spiritual life, the first thing that we should try to familiarize ourselves with is the stratified model. In the Vedas, the Vedic paradigm gives a model. How is this world? What is this body made of? What is our subtle psychological body made of? And how these are distinct. They're material. They're distinct from Atma, the soul. So it's most important in the beginning to become very firmly grounded in the stratified model or the layered model of the ontology given in the Vedas. So we want to speak a little bit about this first. So here we go. Ontological layers. The soul is Atma. We are spiritual beings. The spirit is beyond time, beyond space. It is never born and never dies. Only out of egotism, we think that we are born and we die. We think that we have an expiry date. But actually, this is the first teaching Krishna gives to Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. Na toevaham jatu nasam natam nemi janadipaha. Na chaivacha bhavishyama sarvevayam ataha param. Hey Arjuna, never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all of these kings on this battlefield. We all existed in the past, we exist in the present, and we will continue to exist in the future. What is significant about this is, contrary to popular belief, the Vedanta, or the conclusion of the Vedas, is personal. Because Krishna is saying every soul is an individual, in the past, the present, and the future. There's not a point where we'll all mix together and become one blancmange, one spiritual soup. No, we're all individuals and will be individuals forever. So, but this is something which is very widely misunderstood. So, first thing, there is Atma, and now, right now, when being in this material world, our soul has some coverings of material energy. Now, I'm sure most of you are familiar with some of the metaphysics of yoga. Raise your hand if you, yeah. So, is everyone familiar with the terms sattva, rajas, and tamas? Yeah? So, in this world, we see that all things go through phases. They have their phase of creation when they come into being. They remain for some time in equilibrium, and then they begin to fade and they're destroyed. So, in this world, there is always a combination. Always these three energies are in flux. The energy of creation, the energy of maintenance, and the energy of destruction. So they are called in Sanskrit Rajas or Rajagun. Rajas, the mode of passion, brings about the appearance of things, whether that's on a cosmic scale, the appearance of planets and so on, or whether it's on a human scale, because when someone is passionate, then they unite sexually and produce another human being. So passion always leads to creation. So that's Rajagun or Rajas. Then you have Sattva, the balance, and then Tamas, destruction. These three energies. So, these three energies, they're always present in this material world. And according to the Vedic cosmology, the world comes from the material energy of God called Prakriti. Prakriti means nature. Prakriti. Prakrista, Rupa, Kriti. That which does wonderful things, right? Nature does wonderful things, right? Look at nature, it's wonderful. It's so amazing. People never tire of admiring the beauty and the creation. So it's called Prakriti. Prakriti. This energy in its original, raw, unadulterated state is a pure potential without any characteristics within it. And so that idea is also found in Western philosophy and logic. For example, Aristotle speaks about prime matter. That the basic, the material energy on its most basic level is prime matter and its pure potential that then requires to be actualized. So that idea, which was the basis of all Christian theology also and ancient Greek philosophy, it actually was found thousands of years before in the Vedic culture of India, that the base level of matter is one formless, non-differentiated potential energy. And in this potential energy, three gunas are there, Sattva, Raja and Tamas, but they're in complete equilibrium with each other. So there's no manifest forms. So when the Supreme Lord wants to create the world by his glance, he glances, that indicates his desire to create. And then the equilibrium of Prakriti is broken. And it begins to oscillate. The three gunas, they come out of equilibrium with each other. And so first, Sattva gun manifests prominently. And then Rajagun, the next lowest energy. And then finally Tamagun, the lowest energy. So there's a gradual degradation from stability, light, balance, lucidity, through passion and confusion, down to the tamasic state, which is inertia, solidity, and insentience, and darkness. So what we try to illustrate here on this graph, you can see, you can't see very well because it's not so high res here, but there's a triangle here that's very wide at the top. It represents, at first there's a maximum amount here of Sattva gun, which is gradually reducing, and minimum amount of Tamas and Rajas. And then as the creation goes on, becomes more and more gross, then this is the Rajas. The Rajas increases to a maximum point, and slowly the purple, the dark color here, represents Tamas, which is increasing. Then at a certain point, the Rajas also starts to go down, you see, and then the predominant energy becomes the Tamas. So these are the relationships between these three energies, which are always in flux. And the gradual grossification, the condensation of Prakriti brings about all the elements of the world, both internal, subtle psychological elements and the gross physical elements. So we want to just go through that, the evolutes of Prakriti, the way in which the various elements come from the primordial pure potential. So you can think of it in this way, that in the air around us now, there's water, whatever, it's about 74% water, but you can't see it, and you definitely can't drink it or taste it. But if there's a change in atmospheric pressure, then what happens? Then that water in the air, it condenses and becomes a vapor, and then it becomes a cloud. And then the cloud condenses more, and it becomes a liquid, and it becomes heavy, and it falls down to earth in the form of rain. And under certain temperature and atmospheric pressure, then it will even become solid and become snow or ice. Yeah? So in this example, we're speaking about one thing, just water, but it has these phase transitions. It goes through the phase transitions from gas to a vapor, to a liquid, to a solid, like this. So in the same way, all the material energy that we see around us is actually one energy which is going through these phase transitions that we'll discuss now. So the first phase transition is called Mahat. It is called Mahat. And that is the first material energy which is very light, it's very bright, and it's not active. And that Mahat, when it's in the universe, it's called Mahat. But a small portion of that first light and bright energy is there in our subtle body. And when that energy is present in our subtle body, it's called Chitta. It's called Chitta, the basis, the foundation of our consciousness. It's actually very still, it's very bright, it's luminous, and it's also, it's like a screen, like a mirror. Because when the Chitta, the basic level of your consciousness is of your subtle body, your psychological body, when that's in a pure state and in a still state, it can catch the reflection of the beautiful form of Krishna. God can be seen. You know, if you want to see something that's very far away, you need a telescope. If you want to see something that's very small, you need a microscope. If you want to see God, you need a theoscope. Right? And now you might say, well, where is this thing called the theoscope available? And the answer is, don't panic. You were born with it. God has made us with, in the depth of our subconscious mind, in our subtle body, there is Chitta. And generally for most people today, it's contaminated, so they can't see. There's no light inside. And they can't experience God inside. But that potential is there for everyone. And it's best achieved through the chanting of mantra, the Maha Mantra, the names of God. And we'll discuss how that works later. But that's your theoscope. That's the instrument by which you can perceive God, when His mercy is also added to our effort. So that's the first thing, Chitta. Now this Chitta is very fine, very light. It has no motion, it's niskriya, it doesn't have movement. So then Rajas, the mode of passion, comes, and this Chitta, it condenses more. It condenses more, and now it becomes like a liquid, as if it can move. So that is called Sutra Tattva. It's called Sutra Tattva. Sutra Tattva. And when that Sutra Tattva is in the universe, it's actually manifesting all type of Kriya. Kriya means action, all activities, from the movements of the planets to even the biological movements of cells in your body. All this is done by Sutra Tattva. But when it's in the universe, it's called Sutra Tattva. And when that energy is in your gross body or subtle body, then it goes by the name of Pran. It's called Pran. Right? Everyone's heard of Pran. Yes, I'm doing pranayama. But what is Pran? It's really important that we have very specific, precise, accurate, scientific definitions. Otherwise we cannot have a conversation about this practice of yoga and understand the subject clearly. So Pran is the first condensation, Rajasic condensation of a Chitta, the subconscious mind. And it moves, this Pran, it gives you the power to perceive. It gives you the powers of perception. How? Whenever you look at something, then the Pran moves in your Chitta and makes a model of that object. And then your soul is seeing that model. So we don't see the world directly as it is, but we see a facsimile of the world which is made by the movement of Pran in our own Chitta. So I can give an example. If you have, let's say if you have a camera, and you point a camera at something, what happens? The light comes inside and then the screen transforms and makes an image of what's in front. You see? So all the time, every time you're looking and you're seeing things, you're not actually seeing exactly the things as they are, but you're seeing a model of those things in your own Chitta. And so this can be easily understood. If you have, let's say, if you have a very high fever, like malaria, and you have a 105-degree fever, At that time, you start to see that everything's moving and you start to hallucinate. Or if I know none of you have ever taken any drugs, but if you did, you might see everything moving, but other people see that it's not moving. Why is that? Because everyone is seeing their own, though the world is real. Don't end up in solipsism. I'm not suggesting solipsism, that your mind is creating the world. The world is an objective fact, but we perceive it just like the screen on a camera transforms and makes an image. We're seeing an image which is produced by the movement of pran in our own chitta. And these movements of pran, they're also responsible for all of our thoughts and feelings and conceptions. So when you're tired and your pran has low energy, then you can't think very well. You need to rest, and then when you're refreshed, then you can think clearly. You see, so all our thoughts and feelings, our emotions, perhaps when you're tired, then you might become a bit cranky, right? Sometimes. I mean, not you, I mean other people. Because you're all yogis, I know, so you're completely in sattva guna, in complete equilibrium, in the face of all adversity. So, chitta, and then pran. Now, this is very interesting. When you look at something and your chitta transforms and becomes that object, in the Yoga Sutras, that object is called a pratyaya. Pratyaya. Understand? But then when you look away, then you have another pratyaya. You see, now you look in this direction and you have a pratyaya of what's over there. But then when you look in this direction, you have a pratyaya that's over here. What happened to that pratyaya? Then that what you have experienced then sinks into the subconscious mind. And when it's present there in the subconscious mind, like a recording, it's called samskar. It's called an impression. Understand? So our moment by moment experience is pratyaya, and the stored ones, just like with the camera you can record and it's all stored. So in the same way, all of our experiences are stored in our subconscious mind in the form of samskars. And these samskars, they're not only from this life. We have the recordings of many, many previous lives as well. And so a person who is expert in meditation internally they become illuminated, and they can look into their own subconsciousness and they can see the impressions of what they did in their previous lives. So the memory of previous lives comes as a result of dhyan, of meditation as well. So now what happens is, when there are many, many impressions of the physical world, especially of sense gratification, when we try to enjoy the world, we try to taste the world. So the gross physical elements, they're tamasic because they're insentient. They come from the mode of ignorance. And essentially, when we try to taste and enjoy the physical world, we're essentially injecting our consciousness with a good dose of tamagun, the mode of ignorance. You see? And that's why you'll see that persons who are very bright and very intelligent, mainly, they're not interested in enjoying things. They're interested in whatever, their studies, their investigations, their science or their spiritual practice, their austerities, their self-control, their fasting, and they have a higher consciousness. Whereas people who are really ignorant and down in the modes with the frogs and the toads, so they're just interested in comfort, nice comfortable bed, drink something, smoke something, watch a movie, just like that, have sex. Like so, as much as the living entity is engaged in trying to taste the world, to that degree he's infusing himself with the lower energy and gradually becoming more and more dull. His consciousness is losing its light and its agility and becoming more and more inert and dark. You see? So, and it's like a downward spiral. Because when you try to enjoy something, you get an immediate blast, because in the object there's a little bit of sattva as well. And so that sattva causes the consciousness to expand a little, just for a moment, and then it contracts again. So in this way, people get caught up. It's an addiction. Everything is whether it's just like actual narcotics, but even all types of worldly pleasure, they're addictive. And they cause one to return again and again to that. And so the consciousness is always in a foggy state. an unclear state, even though God is everywhere and God is always with us. But our consciousness is covered by fog. So we want to know how the consciousness can become clear, so that fog can clear and we can see the beautiful form of Krishna always with us. So now, when these impressions condense and we have lots of inert impressions in our consciousness, that mass of impressions darkens our consciousness and we cannot see anything higher. We only see the things which are there below us. And that dense mass of impressions in the subconscious mind is called ahankar, ego, the material ego. So our material ego is a dense mass of impressions from many, many lifetimes. And let's see, so there we are, ahankar, the ego. Now, from the ego, there are also some transformations. And the first transformation is manas, the mind. That is not the subconscious mind, which is the pre-egoistic mind, but the post-egoistic mind. The mind which is an expression of the ego itself. And which manifests all types of attachment and aversion. I like this, I don't like this. So those feelings of attachment and aversion are basically informing all of our decisions. So the mind it's coming from the ego, which is tamasic, but the more sattvic portion of the ego. And then comes buddhi. Buddhi means intelligence. So here in the Vedic ontology, buddhi, intelligence, is not just limited to the idea of conceptuality and like an academic idea of what IQ is, that intelligence. But the buddhi is also responsible for things like the state of wakefulness, the state of dreaming, and the state of deep sleep. So because our buddhi is always moving, then as the sun it rises and sets, we also our buddhi is moving and we're awake for some time, and then we dream and we go into deep sleep and back to dreaming, back to deep sleep, back to dream a few times, and then finally we wake up again. So these changes of state are also the vritti, the functions of buddhi. So all of that makes up this whole section here. Chitta, ahankar, manas and buddhi makes up our psychological body. This psychological body stays with the soul. When you die, you give up your physical body, but this psychological body goes with you to the next life, carrying all the impressions of your activities. And this is why even if, let's say, a mother gives birth to twins, and they look exactly the same, but the mother will understand very soon that these are two completely different people. They have different characters, they have different desires, they have different inclinations, different disposition. And why? Because the souls which have come into those bodies have brought with them their psychological makeup from the previous life. So it's easy to give up this body, but the psychological body is extremely stubborn, and it's very difficult for the soul to get out of that trap. And that trap of the psychological body causes us to transmigrate lifetime after lifetime, and doesn't allow the soul to be liberated from the material experience and enter into the eternal spiritual experience. So the process of meditation through mantra actually cleanses the psychological body, so it gradually becomes inert, and then it becomes the reflection place of spiritual realization. And the soul can, it is said that by the acts of knowledge, the soul can cut his connection with the subtle body and then enter into the eternal spiritual realm and not be condemned to the transmigration of repeated birth and death in this world. Okay, so now we're coming, the next thing, the transformation of buddhi, a rajasic transformation of buddhi. Those are the senses. And so the senses are 10. You can see here the power of speech, the power of grasping with the hands, and mobility, the legs, reproduction, the sexual organ, and evacuation. So those are called the karmendriya, the working senses. Speaking, grasping, walking, reproducing and evacuating. And then there are the 5 Gyanendriya. Gyanendriya means knowledge acquiring senses, through which we collect information about the world. The sense of hearing, touch, vision, taste, and smell. So these are our 5 knowledge acquiring senses. So our senses, that's not the soul, that's not us. But we tend to identify with the movement of the senses. In the Yoga Sutras, that's called asmita. Asmita. When an individual thinks that I am the power of my senses. If you ask someone, oh please write your biography, they don't write anything about the soul. They just write about what their senses were doing. Right? Because there's asmita, identification with the senses. If anyone wants, after the presentation, if you give me your email, you send an email to me, I'll send you the slides so you can study them and do your homework.
Amazing.
So now all of these, the working senses and the knowledge acquiring senses, they're predominantly rajasic. And now the tamasic elements come. As the prakriti begins to condense more and more, then we get the physical body. And here, first of all, we see these are the sense objects. So we have, let's say, the power of hearing, but there is the sense object sound. So the power of hearing is connected to sound, and then touch. The power of the sense of touch is connected to the element of touch, the tactile elements. And then form is the object of the eye, and water is the object of taste, and earth contains fragrance. So these are the 5 sense objects, and then the 5 elements. So the sense objects are the subtle causes of the gross elements. So now you can see, the soul is here, completely transcendental, and everything else, the subtle body, the gross body, are all the gradual grossification, the condensation of Prakriti from its undifferentiated pure potential through all these evolutes. It goes through these phase transitions, and that's basically what the world is. And Pran, the Sutra Tatra, Pran is moving everything and mixing the elements up, and everything is going on. And the soul is just watching it in his own chitta, and he's infatuated with that. Just like if you go to a cinema, you sit down, you're in the dark completely, and just look at a screen, and the light is moving on the screen, and you become lost in that movie, in that cinema. And sometimes when something funny happens, you laugh. Sometimes when something tragic happens, you cry. But what are you really doing? You're just sitting in a dark room staring at a wall. Okay? So that's what you're really doing. But you're thinking all these wonderful things are going on, but really, you're sitting in a dark room looking at some light moving on the wall. So that is like our material existence. Our material existence is like that. It's a state of illusion. We're a soul, we're transcendental. But because we're in darkness, we're watching the movement of the gunas. Everything going on, and thinking, the Roman Empire. Oh, the Roman Empire is falling. The British Empire, it's falling. The American Empire, it's falling. So we think of these meta-narratives that everything's really important, but it's all just sitting in the dark watching some light move on the wall of our chitta. So that's called Maya, illusion. The state of illusion, Maya. Ma means not, this. Not this. It's not what you think it is. This is not a substantial realm. This is an insubstantial, like a dream, actually. So, now, interesting. It's not so sharp. When I send you the slides, you'll see how it's very sharp. Can you see there's someone sitting there in a meditation? You see that shadow there? Someone sitting. And this is just showing something about the pranic system. So, in the Upanishads, they already said, Eisho nur atma chaitasa veditavya yasmin prana panchada samvivesha pranais chitam sarvam otam prajanam yasmin vishuddhe vibhavati eish atma. The meaning is this. that Aishonor Atma, the Atma, the soul, is Anu, very minute particle, atomic, indivisible particle of consciousness. And Aishonor Atma Chaitasa Veditavya, and it is to be known. Veditavya means you must know it. We must know our soul. But how can it be known? Chaitasa. It can be known by chitta, by pure consciousness. What is this consciousness? Yasmin prana panchada samvivesha. The chitta has been pervaded by the sutra tattva, the threads of pran. They're going through the chitta, just like in cloth. You have threads going in different directions. So in the same way, our whole chitta is interwoven with threads of pran. So here it says, Yasmin prana panchada samvivesha. 5 types, panchada, 5 types of pran. So you have pran, apan, udhan, vyan, saman, 5 types of pran. So the first pran, actually, these are all prefixes. Pra, sam, ud. These are prefixes. The actual word is ana, ana. From this word ana comes animated. What is animating everything? Ana. That is, why do things appear to be alive in this world? The material energy is dead, it's unconscious, but why does it appear to be alive? Because it's been animated by some magic. So that which animates everything, has different forms. So when you put pra on the beginning of ana, it makes pran. When you put vi, it makes vyan. When you put sam, saman, like that. So these prefixes are added to the word which indicates living force or animation. So pran does the ingestion. It is taking, like breathing. This is pran. Udhan pushes up. Apan pushes down. Of course, when you go to the toilet, you need the udhan. That's apan, pushing down. And the saman goes around. It spirals and brings balance and digestion. And then you have the vyan. Vyan is expanding. So these 5 types of pran, they take control. They're actually the basis of your entire nervous system. But that pran is also interwoven through your subtle body, through the mind as well, through the chitta. And so these movements of pran, rising, falling, expanding, swirling, those are our thoughts. And so when Patanjali gives the definition of yoga, yoga's chitta vritti vishesh, the movements of pran in the chitta, that is called chitta vritti. When we check them, when we slow them down gradually, then we'll go into trance, and that trance state is called yoga. Understand? So all of our thoughts, here in the Upanishad it's saying, pranascha sarvam, pranaischittam sarvam otam prajanan. Prajanan means, of all the living entities in this world, their chitta, pranaischittam sarvam otam. Otam means interwoven. So the mind, the subtle body, the psychological body of every living entity in this world is interwoven with the sutras of pran. So then the conclusion is given in this verse, Yasmin Vishudeva Vibhatesh Atma. When the mind is purified from these movements of pran, at that time, then you realize the glory of your soul. So yoga is the process whereby this pran, which is contaminated, which is always moving, which is producing all types of worldly concepts, ideas and perceptions, comes under the control of the spiritual energy and it becomes purified. So just as the movement of pran gives you pratyay, it gives you the vision and the perception of the physical world, when the spiritual energy through mantra enters into your pran, then it gives you the vision of the spiritual world. It's as simple as that. When your pran is contaminated, when it's rajasic, it gives you the experience of the physical world. And when we chant mantra, we're actually inviting, the mantra is actually aprakrita pran, supernatural pran, and it descends like an avatar. It is God in the form of sound, and it enters into our pran and takes it over. And now we become empowered to have an experience of things which are beyond this world. So that's the science of how one becomes Krishna conscious, becomes aware of God, and becomes enlightened. So I just want to just speak a little bit of the basics, the mechanisms, if you like, of the pran. So as you know, the pran in our body is moving in nadis. So the main nadi, which goes from there are 7 chakras, from the lowest chakra, Muladhara, up to the Sahasrara chakra, straight, right up the spine. That is called the Sushumna nadi. That's the main channel. And then you have on the left side, from the left nostril, and then going around through the chakras backwards and forwards like this to the left testicle. And that is called, on the left side, that is called Ida. The left side is your moon side. It's a feminine side. And the right side, from the right nostril, then also because they're going like this, through the chakras like this, from here to the right testicle, that is the Pingala, and that is the sun side. So for example, if you want to, let's say in Vedic culture, if someone eats a meal, after eating, they'll take a little rest. But they lie on the left side. Why? Because to digest you need heat. So if you lie on the left side, closing the left nostril, that closes the cooling channel, and your body the more heat will be there to digest the food. So that's why in Ayurveda you lie on the left side after eating, briefly. It increases digestion. And so, actually, our pran is moving, and it's generally for people, it's out of balance. It's usually more on one side or another, and about every 90 minutes it also changes which side it's on. So we can do a little experiment now. If you just close your right nostril and breathe through the left nostril, just breathe in a few times. Just note how it feels. Now close your left nostril and breathe through the right one. Now, did you notice one side was more open than the other? Yes. Did anyone notice? Was one side a little bit more clear than the other side? Yeah. Whose left side was more open? Okay. Whose right side was more open? Okay. Now, don't take notes, don't take photographs of people. I saw your left side was more open. We're actually so you'll notice, you can check again after 40 minutes, after 90 minutes, you can see it will change. But because the pran is out of balance and it's more going to one side to another, and so when it goes more to the left, that means we're being more influenced by the mode of ignorance. And when it goes more to the right, we're a bit more being influenced by the mode of goodness. By the mode of passion. If someone is in Sattva Gun, it'll be exactly the same. That's why people do the Anulom Pratilom, alternate nostril breathing, in order to bring the pran in the middle. Because if the pran is equally balanced in the middle, then the mind will be steady and you can meditate. So pranayama is just a mechanical preparation for meditation, to make the mind, bring it out of the tamasic state, out of the rajasic state, and come more sattvic, more into balance before the yogi meditates. So, perhaps you had the experience in your life, you're doing something and you put your key down somewhere, and then you think, where did I put my key? Right? So that moment when you lost your credit card or your key or your passport or whatever, that's when you just went on the tamasic cycle a little bit, where you just weren't very conscious and you did something, and then afterwards you can't remember, where did I put it? Like that, you see. So these we go through these phases throughout the day where we feel better, we feel more bright, and then a little bit dull, and then a little bit bright. So that's why I'm not sitting down in this chair and giving this lecture. I'm standing up, I'm walking around. It's so dark in this room and people start to feel sleepy. And like that. So now, Pingala Ida and the Sushumna Nadi. Now the Sushumna Nadi, it goes from the Muladhara chakra through all the chakras gradually to the Sahasrara chakra. Now I want to speak about sound. The nature of sound. Now, here you can see all the chakras, the names of the chakras are given here. According to the Vedas, sound has 4 levels. So the part of sound that we hear with the ear, that's not the be-all and end-all of sound. That's just the last level. But there are 3 subtle levels that the ear cannot hear. And they are they manifest on the level of pran, on the level of the manas, mind, and on the level of buddhi, before the words come from your mouth. And this is why it's not, when we're with a person and when we listen to them, we don't only communicate through words, because the state of mind of that person, their intelligence, their mind, their pran, will also be experienced as well. So now let's look at the different levels of sound. So the first one, when a person has a desire to speak, it begins with a movement of pran in the Mooladhara chakra. The pran begins to move in the Mooladhara chakra and it begins to rise up the Sushumna Nadi. So that first desire to speak initiates the movement of pran, and then it rises up. Sound in that very, let us say, its most elementary, its most rudimentary state, that sound is called para. So there you can see here it's mentioned. Sound in its most rudimentary state as a movement of pran in the Mooladhara chakra is called para. So then the next level of sound is called pasyanti. So when this vibration reaches up to the Manipura chakra, now it comes to the level of the mind, and it's called pasyanti. Pasyanti means they see. Something is being seen. In other words, you desire to say something, but before you say it, you have a kind of vision of what it is you want to describe. Let's say you want to describe what happened last week to someone. So that image starts to appear. You want to say something, the image appears in your consciousness, and then the sound rises up to the next level, and then it's called madhyama. Madhyama, and that's on the level of the anahata chakra. So in the anahata chakra, this sound level called madhyama, now it's on the level of buddhi, intelligence. In other words, what you want to say, and the image of what you want to say, is now being transformed into the structures of words and grammar. Right? You need to find the words, you need the syntax, the sentence structure and everything to express yourself. So that's when the sound is coming and starting to manifest in a linguistic form in the Anahata chakra. And then when it's achieved that linguistic form, it rises up to the Vishuddhi chakra, which is in the throat. And then the pran, the air, is pushed out from the mouth. And as the air is pushed out from the mouth, it gets blocked in different parts of the throat, the tongue, the teeth, and the lips. And that gives rise to all the phonemes, the various sounds. A, I, I, U, I. Yeah. All these from the back, ka, ch, t, pa from the lips. So like this. The air is rising up, and as it becomes blocked in different places in the structure of the mouth, then it produces letters, and then that's what everyone hears. So that level of sound is called vaikari. Vaikari, audible sound. And so that's considered to be on the level of the indriya, because it's produced by the speech organs, and it's heard by others by their hearing organ as well. So these are the 4 levels of sound. Now, here, I don't know if it's very clear. In this diagram, we've tried to show the relationship between the conscious mind, the subconscious mind, the pran, and the body. So here, this whole section here is the subconscious mind, and some portion of the conscious mind, of the subconscious mind, is this, the conscious mind. You see? So, now, this subconscious mind also has 2 aspects. This part here, these are the dormant samskars. In other words, impressions from previous lives which are not active now. They might become activated in a future life. So we have many impressions. Like now, let's say in a previous life you were an eagle, right? So all those impressions, they're not activated now. Right? You don't try to fly from a cliff or anything like that. So they're not active. So these are dormant impressions right now. So then the next level of the subconscious mind is gradually, throughout various lives, the dormant impressions become active. So this area is the active impressions. So we have active impressions in the subconscious mind, and they are released into the conscious mind just one by one after another every day. We have memories, we have desires, and so we feel ourselves to be free. We feel ourselves to be independent. We feel ourselves to be making choices in real time and doing whatever we want because we have declared our independence. And regrets, I have a few, but then again, too few to mention, because I did it my way. Right? So this is complete illusion. What is actually going on is that the samskaras which are active, the activated samskaras which are in the subconscious mind, are just coming into the conscious mind one by one. And we say, okay, now I want to be an astronaut, or now I want to be a dancer, or now I want to be a football player. And then what happens, it activates the pran, and the pran then travels all around the body, and the body starts to move, and we begin to try to express what was that. From the subtle level, our impressions and desires are coming, and then they're manifested in our life. And so this is the meaning of the bondage of karma. The bondage of karma means a person is bound to act in a particular way due to the reactions of past activities. So usually when people think about karma, they have an idea like karma is stuff that happens to you from outside. You know, if someone comes and hits you with a baseball bat, or you buy a lottery ticket and win the lottery, it's like that's good karma or bad karma, and it's kind of coming from outside. But actually, karma is coming not only outside, but also from inside. So because our impressions from past lives are coming into the conscious mind, and we're making choices as the echo of past activities, that's how we are bound from the outside and the inside. And the only way to become free from the karmic activity is to not follow the instigation of the foolish material mind. And this can be done when we meet a guru, when we meet a spiritual teacher. Then the spiritual teacher instructs us, you should adopt this lifestyle. You should take up this practice. You should engage in this type of devotional service activity. So all of those things, they're not in our sanskars. They're not part of our karma. So when we choose the spiritual direction given by the guru, then we're breaking away from that tunnel of our destiny. It's like, you know, if you're in a tunnel, you can't go left and right. You just have to go the direction of the tunnel. So everyone is kind of living in the tunnel of their karmic destiny and flowing through that with time, and there's no way out. But when we get guidance of Guru, the spiritual master, and he engages us in those activities, devotional activities of bhakti yoga, which are not part of our karma, then we break free from that bondage of karma. So the material person thinks, oh, he was free before, but now someone's controlling him. But that's the nature of illusion. Everything is backwards. The person who thinks he's free is actually bound by illusion. And the person who's surrendering and serving their spiritual teaching is actually becoming freed. His soul is transcending the limitations of his material destiny. One interesting point here. A nice example is given. Let's say there's a lake. And in this lake, there are lots of particles of dust floating around in the lake. And at night, when the moon shines, then the light of the moon reflects, and you can see the reflection of the moon in the lake, and it's reflected off the various particles in the water and from the surface of the water. So, our subconscious mind is like that lake. The subconscious mind is vast, and it has many, many impressions in it. And this reflection of the moon is like our consciousness of our soul. The consciousness of the soul is only aware of a small portion of those impressions, the active impressions. And that small portion of active impressions which are illuminated right now by our consciousness, that is what we call our personality, our ego. It's our conventional empirical self. And so just as the moon moves and the reflection of the moon moves across the lake, giving up some of the particles in the lake and accepting others. So as time goes on, the subconscious mind is always shifting. It's always shifting. So we're made up of our personality is a particular set of samskars. And as time goes by, we give up some impressions and we take on others. And so what to speak of over many lifetimes, a person gradually transforming. But even in this life, you can change so much. That's why divorce is very common these days. Because people get married because they're two people, but then after like 10 or 20 years, their whole personality has shifted. And it's like they don't know each other anymore. Because they've become another person. Of course, they're the same person because the soul is the same. But that particular set of samskars, which is active, which they call their personality, is shifting. Like this. Very fascinating. So it's nicely illustrated here in this graphic. So, now, what we want to speak about now is this subject, prakrita pran, supernatural pran. All the action going on here, which is then transferred to the actions of the mature body, the actions of pran. So the way that we can become purified and free is to avail